From Hollywood, it is the New York Today's Newlyweds. The atmosphere in the studio is electric, filled with the scent of fresh flowers and the buzzing energy of four couples ready to prove how well they know their significant others. Couple number 1 consists of Elizabeth and Scott Rayner, who got happily hitched 15 months ago. Couple number 2 features Harmony and Fred Tinsley, who recited their vows 19 months ago. Couple number 3 includes Stacey and Robert Moore, who traded rings 13 months ago. Finally, couple number 4 is Kida and Anthony Del Valle, who celebrated their union just 2 months ago. And now, here is the star of the Newlywed Game, Bobby Eubanks. He enters the stage to thunderous applause, flashing a warm, charismatic smile. He thanks the audience and welcomes everyone to the show, expressing his delight that they could join the program today. He introduces the 4 wonderful couples and asks if they are ready to play the game. To kick things off, Bobby explains that they will start by asking the husbands some questions. This requires the wives to head to a soundproof room. As the ladies depart, Bobby reminds the husbands that he will be asking 5-point questions. Each husband must predict how his wife will answer the same question when she returns. If the answers match, the couple earns 5 points. The couple with the most points at the end of the show wins a wonderful second honeymoon. Bobby turns to the gentlemen and presents the first question. He asks in which of the following positions their wives will say they look the least sexy: sitting, standing, lying on her back, or lying on her front. Anthony is the first to answer, suggesting that Kida would say sitting. He notes that she has a really good figure, so he prefers when she is standing. Robert follows, also choosing sitting. He explains that Stacey is always worried about her stomach, so she might feel less sexy in that position, even though he thinks she looks good in all positions. Fred joins the consensus, also selecting sitting. He mentions that while Harmony has a nice body, things tend to flatten out when sitting, which he calls a problem area. Scott, however, takes a different path. He chooses lying on her front because he cannot see Elizabeth's pretty face in that position. The next question focuses on romance and food. Bobby asks what food their wives will say is most likely to put them in the mood for romance. Robert immediately suggests Mexican food, mentioning a specific place they frequent where the salsa really gets things going. Fred offers a more casual choice, In-N-Out Burger, claiming it is Harmony's favorite. Scott believes pasta is the key for Elizabeth, as she loves Italian food. Anthony surprises the group by choosing watermelon as the romantic catalyst for Kida. Moving to the third question, Bobby asks the husbands to complete a sentence. If they could hypnotize their wives, what is one thing they would command them never to do again in this lifetime or the next? Fred says he would stop Harmony from nagging him. Scott chooses to have Elizabeth never lose her temper, noting its unpredictability. Anthony wants Kida to never be late again. Robert concludes by saying he would stop Stacey from whining, as she often uses it to get what she wants. Bobby thanks the gentlemen and announces a short break before reuniting the couples to see how well the husbands predicted their wives' responses. After the messages, Bobby welcomes everyone back to the Newlywed Game. He reminds the audience that the husbands' predictions are recorded on cards. As the wives return, Bobby prepares to see if their answers match. The first question regarding the least sexy position is presented to the ladies. Elizabeth chooses lying on her front, which matches Scott's prediction, earning them 5 points. Harmony chooses standing because of a small physical insecurity on her side, but Fred had predicted sitting, so no points are awarded. Stacey chooses sitting, matching Robert's prediction perfectly. Kida also chooses sitting, which matches Anthony's prediction, giving them 5 points as well. The second round of verification begins with the food question. Bobby asks what food puts them in the mood for romance. Harmony says chocolate, but Fred had predicted In-N-Out Burger. Bobby jokes that a night with both chocolate and a burger would be quite an event. Stacey chooses lobster, but Robert had guessed Mexican food. Kida confirms Anthony's unusual prediction of watermelon, much to the surprise of the audience, earning them another 5 points. Elizabeth says Mexican food because she enjoys not having to cook, but Scott had predicted pasta. The final verification of this segment concerns the hypnosis sentence. Bobby asks what they would never do again. Stacy says she would never ask Robert to get something for her, but Robert had predicted she would never whine. Since she admits she whines when asking for things, Bobby awards the points. Kida confirms she would never be late, matching Anthony's prediction perfectly. Elizabeth thinks she would never channel surf, but Scott had guessed she would never lose her temper. Harmony mentions she would never send their son to jump on Fred to wake him up, but Fred had predicted she would never nag him. Harmony and Fred share a light-hearted moment about her nagging and his ability to tune it out. Bobby then announces that it is time for the wives to predict what their husbands will say for 10-point questions while the men are secluded offstage. The first question is a metaphorical one. Bobby asks if the last time they boarded their husband's ship of love, he was the captain of a speedboat, a rowboat, a tugboat, or a dinghy. Stacy chooses a tugboat. Harmony chooses a dinghy because she was tired and late. Elizabeth confidently chooses a speedboat. Kida chooses a rowboat, describing it as a slow and rocking experience. The next question asks for the strangest thing the wives have caught their husbands doing at home. Harmony says she caught Fred cleaning the kitchen after he quit his job, which was a rare sight. Elizabeth mentions catching Scott talking to her cat in an affectionate voice. Kida says it was strange when Anthony walked her dog. Stacy shares that Robert is constantly checking a mirror to see if he is going bald, a habit he has had for 5 years. The third question in this segment asks the wives to complete a sentence about their husband's dating history. Based on previous girlfriends, what kind of women does the husband have a thing for? Elizabeth says Asian women. Kida says tall women. Stacy claims Robert had a thing for strippers before she changed him to a normal life. Harmony says Fred had a thing for blondes, despite his claims to the contrary. Before the final segment, Bobby introduces a 25-point bonus question. He asks the wives to identify the brand of room deodorizer they use most often: Glade, Lysol, Renews-It, or something else. Kida says something else. Stacy says Glade. Harmony says something else. Elizabeth says Glade. After a final break, the husbands return to the stage for the final reveal. Bobby asks the ship of love question. Fred says he was a tugboat, but Harmony had called him a dinghy. They share a humorous argument about the definition and size of a dinghy. Robert says he was a rowboat, but Stacy had said tugboat. Anthony claims he was a speedboat, but Kida had predicted rowboat. Scott correctly identifies himself as a speedboat, matching Elizabeth's answer and earning 10 points. Regarding the strangest thing caught at home, Robert says sitting around playing video games, but Stacy's answer about the bald spot is revealed. Bobby even checks Robert's head and confirms a small spot. Anthony says he was caught naked, but Kida's answer was about walking the dog. Scott says he was caught lying in the bathroom, but Elizabeth's answer was about talking to the cat. Fred says he was caught smelling his socks to see if they were old, but Harmony's answer was about him cleaning the kitchen. On the topic of previous girlfriends, Anthony correctly guesses tall, matching Kida. Scott correctly guesses Asian, matching Elizabeth. Fred guesses short, but Harmony had said blonde. Robert guesses crazy, but Stacy's answer of strippers is revealed. Robert laughs and admits that as a musician in Los Angeles, he did indeed attract that crowd. Before the bonus question, a trip to Barbados is announced as the grand prize. The tension rises as the couples face the 25-point question about the room deodorizer. Fred guesses Lysol, but Harmony said something else, leaving them with 0 points. Robert guesses something else, but Stacy said Glade. Scott guesses Glade, which matches Elizabeth's answer perfectly, bringing their total to 50 points. Anthony guesses Glade, but Kida had said something else. With 50 points, Elizabeth and Scott Rayner are declared the grand prize winners of the Newlywed game. Bobby Eubanks congratulates them and thanks all the couples for participating. He bids the audience farewell as the show comes to a joyful conclusion.